This episode is brought to you by Mastermind Models and Miniatures and Liber Demonica. Hi guys, welcome to Counterpoints. My name is Connor, and today we're going to be reviewing One for the Road from the Interrogator series on Warhammer TV. I'm, of course, a science fiction, political, and philosophy nerd, a Marine Corps and law enforcement veteran, and let's get into some fun violence.
And the guards?
I'm going to charm them with my pretty face.
Bastard rain. Can you believe we're stuck here guarding this tomb?
Yeah, quit whining. The cred's good, ain't it?
Yeah, well, beating up on vagrants looking for scraps to eat is getting old.
You weren't complaining the other night when you liberated that ring from one of them, were you? What's this then?
Piss off. This isn't the night to test me. Come back tomorrow if you still want your teeth removing.
You're a funny guy.
I don't think this grog side is listening, Mers.
No, I heard you. It's just, I'm on a tight schedule.
You're going to be late.
I doubt it.
I thought we were gonna charm them.
I smiled and laughed.
Finished already? Throne. That means it's our turn, killer.
Let's get it over with then.
Mers? Where do you think you're going? You're supposed to be back on here with us.
To dry off. Another minute in this fucking rain and I'll be wetter than the pair of you idiots.
Lighten up, Mers. All that brooding will be the death of you.
We don't have long before the other guards realize there's something up.
Since when did you start taking trophies?
Surveillance drone. I repurposed it after a little incident with a couple of enforcers.
All right, perfect. Loved it. Loved the action. Let's start breaking stuff down. And if you want to go watch the original, go to Warhammer TV, pay $5.99. If it's not available in your country, go to a VPN. Atlas VPN is somebody who sponsored us for a few episodes. So if you want to use the discount code or the website or whatever in order to go do that. And we're going to be getting into the lore. Sorry if you want to watch the entire thing for free. This isn't necessarily the place to do it. You're just going to get a sweet lore breakdown. So if you're into that kind of thing, let's continue on. So the opening of the episode, I actually started a little bit, a few minutes into it. I'm not asking for blood. I can take your blood. I'm asking for souls. Only you can give me your souls. Dolan Chirosius, the Great Confessor. And he was an imperial saint that helped during the Age of Apostasy. The Age of Apostasy was a time in which a rogue member of the Lords of Terra basically took over the ecclesiarchy and the administratum. His name was Gog Vandire or Goj Vandire, and he basically ruled the galaxy and created a civil war that was ignored by the Adeptus Astartes for a really long time, up until it could no longer be ignored and became a Imperium-wide civil war that was almost as disastrous as the Horus Heresy. So this was in reference to, specifically, Gog Vandire had already been deposed, but there was another renegade cardinal who had carved out a small empire for him, and Dolan Chirosius was the one man who was willing to stand up to him and actually started a rebellion that was successful. So This is all to say, going back to the original quote, that blood is actually very easy and very cheap in the Warhammer 40k universe. Either to find people who are willing to sacrifice it for a cause because everybody is desperate and trying to survive, or to take it by killing your opponents. That's all pretty easy in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, whereas what's actually difficult is getting real dedication from the people who are following you, and Dolan Cherosius was one of the people who was able to do that. The episode opens on the two main characters doing recon on the Manufactorum with shitloads of guards that they even comment on being a large amount for a esteemed place, let alone some backwater manufacturing shithole in the bottom of the hive. They wax philosophical about their intervention and if they truly knew Belena. Baldur is fatalist, believing that the corruption on the world was always there and they had merely exposed it, but Jurgen reminds that Baldur himself was corrupt at one time and responsible for the deaths of innocents. Baldur admits as much, but states he's moved on and is irked by the reminder, and he resents Jurgen but still seems to find him a little bit charming. Jurgen commits to charming the guards and acts as a distraction as Baldur liquefies one of the guards' guts and snaps the neck of the other, showing how strong he truly is. They infiltrate and use a surveillance drone liberated from enforcers, which is this universe's versions of law enforcement, to watch their backs as they continue their recon of the Manufactorum. And just a little reminder, if you haven't caught up on the previous episodes, go ahead and do so. But this is a Manufactorum, a factory that was set up by their late leader, Belena, who they are on a mission to avenge, but were sent off onto a side quest in order to investigate what she was actually doing. Continuing with the summary, Jurgen notes that Malin may have betrayed them before noting that it's all refining equipment for drugs. There are servitors covered in cobwebs strewn about with no activity. Well-paid guards means that Belena set up a fund to protect the factory, and Jurgen takes risks of firing up the equipment, which could alert the guards, but he wants to see what the factory actually does. And this is where we're going to get into the horrors of actually being a servitor. Servitors are lobotomized criminals and undesirables meant to perform menial tasks. Servo skulls, like the mouse skull that you saw on the surveillance drone, are used as a baseline intelligence in order to slave electronics to serve menial functions, because in this universe no one trusts actual artificial intelligence despite having the ability to do so. Servo skulls and servitors are so common that they're treated like furniture in the Imperium of Man. It's commented that how much is left of the original person is not known, where some servitors show quirks and personality and other ones are just dull robots, meaning that there are likely servitors that have a soul still trapped screaming in the body they are no longer able to control. The servitors left standing is horrifying because they've literally been stood in the same spot with their muscles and gears screaming at them for years, unable to move because of their menial intelligence. If there was even a flicker of consciousness left, then I can think of few worse hells. Baldur and Jurgen explore looking for clues as to what's being done. Hey you! Yes you. Are you drowning in plastic crack? Do you keep buying models and never have them painted? Is your pile of shame bigger than the models you actually have done? The team at Mastermind Models and Miniatures can help, or M3 Studios if you prefer. The team at M3 Studios and their Mastermind/Master Painter Clay are just like you, addicted to plastic crack and have channeled their addiction into a passion and a profession. They paint kick-ass models to whatever standard or solution you need. Their motto is professional painting services to bring your imagination to life. Trying to just get on the tabletop? M3 Studios can do that. Trying to shock and awe your local game store? M3 Studios can do that too. Want a piece of art that your descendants will fight over at your funeral? M3 Studios can do that, and it's easy. Click on the link or in the description, and you can talk to M3 Studios directly about your commission. Tell them the Counterpoints channel sent you, and not only are you guaranteed an awesome paint job at a fair price, but you help the Counterpoints channel continue to grow. What is there to lose? Stop buying models you will never paint, and instead let Clay and the M3 Studios team help you dominate your local friendly game store and show off the best painted models this side of the Mississippi. Start your commission today.
You don't think?
That Malin sent us into a trap? I wouldn't put it past him. Better than anyone else.
What are you doing?
Finding out what she was up to here.
This one's dead. Its null inhibitor will be inactive. Maybe I can get a read of it.
Jurgen, over here.
Astropaths. Shit.
Shame for it to have ended like this. I can't say I've encountered many worlds ruled by a scholar.
Vicious little bastards.
Sit down before you bleed out.
Just try to keep the scarring to a minimum this time.
Still, waste not, want not.
The amount of forbidden lore stacked in this place. We shouldn't have been surprised he was a psyker. He's already dead.
A bit here, a piece there. The other houses will be a lot less reluctant when we turn up at their doors.
You're a fucking psychopath.
No. He's right. Everyone has their use. Even in death.
Throne, Jurgen.
Balder, I'm a psyker. Would Belena have put me in there if it had suited her?
I don't know.
He knows. We both do.
Are you sure you want to do that?
Of course I don't want to do it. But what choice do we have?
Okay. Just make sure you vomit over there this time.
I'll do my best.
Servitors.
Well, what did you see?
Are you kidding? At least give me a minute to remember how to breathe.
We don't have a minute. Get your shit together. We've got company.
It's a psychoactive drug.
Like the filth you've been jamming down your throat.
No, different. More concentrated. Shit, Balder. She was ripping the living nightmares out of astropaths' heads, merging them somehow with Ado's drugs. What would Belena want?
Better. Time to leave.
Hold on.
Jurgen, we have to go. Now!
Almost.
Jurgen!
So, Geisthaven was a world ruled by a psyker. And the Jurgen, we basically get a flashback where Jurgen and the retinue was able to take on the governor, find him, guilty of taint, and execute him as a result. So Sother, the bodyguard of the rogue trader who runs the Bar of the Voidsman, is wounded in the exchange. And Servitors, the whole reason why I keep bringing up the Servitors is because it's a fate worse than death. It's a fate worse than hell to be lobotomized, turned into basic furniture or robotics, and then to serve in the background with your muscles and soul screaming in agony for the remainder of your mortal life until you're shuffled into a dump. So I actually cannot think of anything worse than being a servitor in the 40th millennium. But since Heroth is a null, meaning that actually people were really passionate about their comment saying that nulls are not psychers. They're anti-psychers, meaning that instead of having psychic powers that they can get through the warp, they act as a black hole to suck away the power of the warp, which is why they're distrusted and hated by everybody and give everybody the creeps. So Heroth as a null shows off his use by draining the power from the governor and allowing them to execute him despite his psyker power, and his sociopathy to use the governor as a message to the other houses is commented on by Jurgen with disdain. Belena condones it despite Jurgen's objections because, even in death, people can still serve a purpose. And he actually, chops up the governor, one of the most powerful people on the planet, puts an inquisitorial seal on his body in order to be mail delivered to the other houses who might challenge Belena's decision. So, would Belena have put me there? Jurgen muses when he snaps back to reality. And Balder, God bless his soul, says, I don't know. And the answer is, they both kind of do. Belena, despite being a conventionally attractive inquisitor, has shown that she is nothing but ruthless, willing to fight in a war, willing to burn an entire planet, willing to sacrifice people to their own ends, willing to execute teenagers, and while they're both within the good graces of the Inquisition while they're serving under Belena's retinue, they actually know on some level that Belena is going to serve her own ends for the greater good of the Imperium of Man. So, Balder asks, well, is it just like the drugs that you were taking from, your current stash? And it's no, it's better. It's concentrated version of the neural suppressors, and it's the ripped psychic screams of the astropaths. Astropaths in particular are incredibly powerful psychers because it's actually their choir. It's their song and their dreams that are transmitted across the warp in order to get communication. So, what could be more powerful from a psychic perspective than the ripped-out nightmares of an astropath? Jurgen waits for a sample, that way they can use it as evidence for whatever's going on in the situation, and the guards find the bodies and close on them. The interrogators escape, which is one of my least favorite tropes when you turn a corner and somebody's just vanished. From Batman, they say that invisibility is a matter of patience and agility. I would actually like an explanation for the patience and the agility, not just they turn a corner and they've disappeared despite being, surrounded on all sides. So, let's continue on.
2 more minutes in there and we'd have been dead.
We've gambled on worse.
Yeah, and look at us stood here in our finery and riches.
We needed to know what Belena was doing there. We needed answers.
What good are answers if you've got a bullet in your head? I'm not on a suicide mission with you here, Jurgen. Besides, all we've got now are more questions.
What was she making this for? And on such a scale. That factory was built to make vats of this stuff.
A weapon.
Whatever it is, I'd wager my life it's connected to why Heroth killed her.
Maybe if we knew what it did, we'd be closer to understanding why she died.
Fuck! My head hurts, and more than usual. Come on, we're not going to figure this out standing in the sodding rain. And I don't know about you, but I could damn well use a drink. do Claw's men.
And civilians. This is very far from ideal, Jurgen.
Throne.
Sortha.
Alive, as far as I can tell.
What are you doing?
Having that drink.
We don't have time for this. We need to find Sortha.
Sit down, Boulder.
You should really have taken him up on that drink. You never know when you'll get another chance. Duke Claw will see you now.
One for the road.
So, in their musings, all we have are more questions. I bet, I would wager that this is why Haroff killed Belena. What does it mean? Why did she die? And all they have is more questions, which is perfectly fine for an investigative thriller. And they retreat to the Voidsman, finding that it's been burned out by House Clore. And something that I noticed while, watching this again, was that there was the kid who ran by, who, when you're a poor kid and you're just trying to starve, maybe you'll snitch on the comings and goings of other nefarious characters for a few credits so that way you can eat. And I also noticed that Sother, the rogue traitor bodyguard who joined Belena's retinue but then ran the bar and wasn't interested in the adventure, she jumped across the bar and then ran across, whereas what would actually be more tactical, this is for all you retired gun-slinging barkeeps, go ahead and keep a retreat on your side of the bar so you don't have to be an agile, inquisitorial-trained gymnast who's capable of throwing out shots in order to escape your would-be assassins. Also, what was interesting was that it was a House Clore member that Sother had killed, who Jurgen ripped the psychic memories from, and House Clore had burned the bar after they'd already executed everybody in the bar. So what does House Clore want with these interrogators? What do they want out of the entirety of the situation, considering all of the violence and investigations and intrigue and all that kind of stuff? Who's involved with who? But Sother is alive, and that's a good thing, and the House Clore troopers do take them into custody before the episode ends. So what did we learn? Taze, my editor, and I, we've been talking about, what did people really come for, and it's for, a little bit of insight. Obviously, we're reviewing the episode. You get to enjoy beautiful violence with me and get into the 40K lore, but what can we actually draw from this episode? And what I would say is the deep lore is the fun of 40K. So seeing a barrage of images, for instance, the Servitors that are moving the bookcases, or the Servitors that are manufacturing the guns, or the fact that it's a tiny mouse skull that's running the surveillance drone, or the fact that, the bar has a giant skull with piping leading to it, and it seems to be the area for a bunch of gangers and scum to, meet and discuss things before they go out into their adventures in the Underhive, or the fact that House Clore was willing to leave the corpse of one of their own guard and then burn it in the bar because that's how disposable even House Clore treats its own troopers. That's the kind of thing that gives you a level of insight into the universe that you can then extrapolate out into your further delvings into the lore. So I love all of that. We also learned that being a servitor or a hired gun, or even just a passerby in 40K, sucks, because there's a chance that a laser rifle round or a stub round or a maimer round or something like that is just going to take you out randomly, or if you don't participate in the games of violence of the Warhammer 40K universe, you're just going to starve to death. So, it pretty much just sucks to be an average Joe in the Warhammer 40K universe. Never trust the Inquisition. That's another lesson learned. That should be fairly obvious, but at the same time, when you're approaching it from the position of somebody who's in the Inquisition, they're supposed to be in the know. They're supposed to understand what's going on. They're supposed to have their little Machiavellian manipulations in order to see what the world, or what the world is turning into. And instead, we're seeing two clueless bodyguards stumbling through the investigations of their former mistress and discovering that everything that they were already participating in is a lot deeper, darker, and more fucked up than they already thought it was, and they already thought it was pretty fucked up. always take a drink with a friend. So that's another lesson, is if a friend offers you a drink, you don't know when you're going to get another one, so go ahead and take advantage of it. So with all those lessons learned, my name is Connor. I do run this YouTube channel named Counterpoints. If you're a science fiction, political, or philosophy nerd, if you're particularly focused on Warhammer 40k, go ahead and check out the Warhammer playlist, check out the Angels of Death playlist, check out all of the violence and stuff that we've already broken down, because there's a buttload of content for you. Also, go ahead and check out the channel sponsor, Liber Demonica, who basically manufactures third-party bits. They're going to be in the outro. And also check out Mastermind Minis. They're an Alabama-based painting studio that does excellent work. Painting is expensive, so I'm just going to give you that little caveat. But if you keep buying plastic miniatures over and over and over again and you're not doing anything with them yourself, send them to Mastermind so you can actually get an army that looks good onto the tabletop and enjoy your games of 40k or hobby display that much more. I appreciate you. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.